Oh, we're not doing the intro. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everyone. Just straight in. Just straight in.
No intro. Straight in.
Yeah, because I had it turned off. Hi, everyone.
That's all
Everyone's
good.
Good evening.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope you got drinks. It's been a while since we've done one of these. So,
Yeah, it has. I'm excited for it.
yeah, it's been a while. I'm now on my super duper internet. So, hopefully
All right.
it's.
Russ is no longer Tesco T-Meg. He's already showing off.
And my PC's been rebuilt since the motherboard died, so now I could actually recover my shows, which is why the Blackout show was slightly
that could
delayed.
have gone wrong has gone
wrong. Yes.
I'm already propping up my laptop to allow it to breathe because it's a gaming PC, therefore it's bollocks.
It's like super hardcore RGB.
You'd like to use Discord? That sounds high tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it overclocks and it's like Discord. I'm running Discord really well. Then it just overheats.
You can click 17 times a second. Or we could just try and
what's your FPS at, mate? No.
0.
Yeah.
Absolutely 0.
0 frames. It's just died. No,
no frames.
Yeah, it's
old school,
been
old world.
Hectic couple of weeks. So, apologies for kind of lack of content / every other excuse I use every time we record. But I just honestly last couple of weeks have kicked my ass a bit.
The releases have come thick and fast as well, haven't they?
We've got some exciting.
They're not slowing down.
Coming. So 3 new battle tomes coming very shortly. So
absolutely, they've all been made incredibly user friendly.
Yes, we hope so. So we'll have a Luminef review show out on Saturday. So
that was seamless, Russ. That was a wonderful segue. Instantly approachable. Have you ever played a tabletop?
Hi, Liam. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of a good segue into what we're doing now. I will preface this show, and I'm sure there'll be people who tune in or watch this video and skip this bit, and then write a comment or have you will disagree with us. That's fine. But it's our platform, our opinion, and we're allowed to have it. So if you don't,
and you're also allowed to have constructive feedback, and it is absolutely welcomed. We're live. Like the reason we've done this live is because we like it, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear people's thoughts as well. I think I didn't overly sensationalize our pack because I didn't want to create any waves. And I just thought, well, for the people that are playing at the event and the people that are coming, and kind of kept it a little bit low key. But the idea is that we spoke about it on other shows. We've written our own battle pack for the event, made some house rules. With the aim really is to reduce mental load in terms of memory hammer and admin. And to enable newer players a kind of more seamless transition into competitive play if they want to. And it's also a bit of a thought exercise really on is simple better? And I know,
is it less
is more
tactical?
Maybe
is there less tactical depth to simplicity?
I don't think
question.
There is. I mean, you look at chess.
We're obviously biased here.
It's a well. I just think logically there's a lot of war games out there, even like X-Wing and Legion. They're easy to pick up, difficult to master.
Absolutely.
And I think that
Magic
Warhammer's kind of gone the other way, and almost the skill is just being up to date and knowing everything rather than
I got it. Or even in some situations, not always, but in some situations, having the ability to buy, assemble, and get tabletop ready the latest thing that you've worked out to be dead good. Votan isn't fantasy, but that came out recently, and if you took that to the first event, it was so powerful that it got fixed in a week. So
but there was I think it was in Germany. They just banned them flat out at every event.
Absolutely,
and and I think stuff like that is it's great, and I'm not gonna complain about it. It's great that Games Workshop Design Studio are responsive. You could say that it should come out without those issues, but it's life. I'd rather that they actually listened and did things rather than just stubbornly said, well, no, we're right and you're wrong.
Absolutely. And they haven't even needed to listen on that one. They've known something was a problem. They fixed it, almost at the same time that it came out, which is great.
And I mean, we're not saying that this fixes Age of Sigmar or Age of Sigmar needs fixing. I just wanted to do something a bit different, and I haven't really seen people write their own battle packs yet in the UK. I mean, they probably have been done somewhere. But
let's do a poll. I have an interesting question. So this used to be more of a thing, right? Like, I wonder how many of our viewers have been playing Age of Sigmar or Warhammer Fantasy, that is, for more than 4 years. Because comp used to be a big thing, right?
Well, it was the only way that competitive play happened. So the only event that was not comped was the Games Workshop Heats. I'm going back to like early 2000s, sort of mid 2000, like 2008, 2010, around there. And you had the Heats. They weren't comped, and there was a point where the Heats went away. And if you don't know what I mean by Heats, they used to run 3 Heats: Heat 1, Heat 2, Heat 3, and a final. If you came in the top third, you get into the final for free. And I mean, as in, it's free to go to that, and your ticket was basically, if you qualified, you got a double value out of your tournament ticket. They ran the game out the book, and I remember there was a time when it was all Kairos demons basically, or Dark Elves, or don't bother. And there was one event where Thoric Ironbrow was the top 10 armies out of 10, were all the same list. So I'm going back to sort of very dark days. So all the independent events were comped. And it's showing my age. I'm over 40 now, only by about a week or so, but me and Dan Heelan went to the independent scene. Dan used to go to the independent scene way before me. He introduced me to the independent scene. Sheffield Slaughter, Mersey Meltdown, these kind of really old school event, the Warhammer Player Society event, things like that. The Bristol events that were run by Ian Scavell. You had the sort of the where you had an army swap game and stuff like that. There was all these events we used to go to. And I'm going back about 20 years now. But what was good about these is that we looked at the scene, and we wanted a more competitively pure kind of tournament scene. So we went off and we decided to run the tournament we wanted to play in, and that was the South Coast Grand Tournament. I'm sure people probably heard of it. And we ran that for years and years and years. And that always had a comp, and that was always kind of me with Dan and Wayne's guidance on things and input, but I was kind of the driving force behind that. Some might say that the South Coast pack in the Wild West of the AOS is sort of the foundation of the General's Handbook in 2016.
Yeah, that plus, people like Mo having a real footing in taking hold of something that wasn't particularly directioned at that point.
The Clash pack was the TOs, and there was a group of us, and I was one of them, because he had the first Age of Sigmar event, so we came up with that. He obviously did a lot of the work. I'm not trying to take credit for him. I'm just saying that it was a team effort with the TOs, like Ben Curry and other people involved. Hi, Matt. And we kind of come up with this pack, and then he had his pack, and then we expanded the pools out and some of the changes for South Coast, and then it's no secret that we were brought on board with Games Workshop to help with the General's Handbook and become playtesters, and the rest is history, so to say. So I'm not poo-pooing the game or the process or anything like that, but when it comes to events, I always like to run an event I want to play in. And I don't know, we felt it was a good opportunity to try something a little bit different.
We chatted about this for a long time, haven't we? This has been like maybe 18 months.
Yeah.
I get really lots of things that we did chat about that we didn't end up putting in or anything like that. It was a culmination of a lot of discussions. I mean, speaking personally, I'm someone who really struggles with mental load. Like, I might be capable of having a deep mind at times, but it's never wide. Like, I'm absolutely pretending if that's the case. Like, I can't, immediately onboard information at a great speed or anything like that. It's just not who I am.
No,
and I found...
Yeah, so go on.
I was just going to say, like, Russ can read something and take it in at a far greater capacity than me. And I've ended up having to go down a route where I literally, I'm giving myself, these really narrow rails so that I can attend event and enjoy it and maybe have a chance at doing well in it, because otherwise I am screwed, completely screwed. I cannot, like this filter, that filter. And I think the reason for that is that since 4 pages of rules, which is how many years ago now?
Oh, 5, 6.
Yeah,
It's 2015.
quite a long time.
2015.
Yeah. Wow. Ages ago, COVID happened.
7
Nothing's
years.
been taken away from the rules that we're playing under, and stuff has only been added. And that's additions and additions and layers in your army book, and a additional thing to your army book, and a White Dwarf update, and a general's handbook, and a this and a that, and I can't take it anymore.
No, I remember back in the old days, like you had a hefty book, like a core book, and like if you look at Horus Heresy, it's like
pages that. Or whatever it was. Yeah,
all the special rules were in the core book. So if you had a Hydra, it had regen. It didn't explain what regen was. Regen's in the core book. So if you're playing with a different army and you say, oh, they've got regen, you know what that meant. You didn't need to ask. But if you say, oh, they've got Disciples of blah, or they've got Limitless Ranks, or they've got blah, whatever narrative name they've given the rule, no one knows what that does unless you play that faction. And there's so many of these rules, and it's like, that's fine. And that's obviously like to get the flavour of the faction. Hi, Glenn. And, to enjoy the, to try and bring the Warhammer world to life with these cool rules. And some of the rules are really cool that are in the game. And I like some of the allegiances are really interesting. But I think that, well, that's a big percentage of yes. So
we old guys.
Old. But I'd say that from all of that, there's just, I found myself as a veteran of the game and long-standing player, and I've took my foot off the gas competitively. I found that because my hobby is very much dip in, dip out, round the tournament, dip in, prep, go, play, dip out, come in. I don't play regularly week to week, and I think if you get into a handbook and you're playing regularly, it's fine because you're used to it. But if you're not, if you're kind of a bit more in and out, but you still like competitive play, I find them quite a barrier. And even
always been fine until now, though, right? Like that's not a new thing for you. You've always dipped in. Like, I've got an event coming, I will read a book, work it out, find a thing. Have a really good chance of going like 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, or whatever.
But now I find that even like playing an army is so complex. If I don't play at least 1 or 2 practice games, I just don't sequence or remember the rules they have because there's too many.
Like relearning day.
So I need to basically revise, and I find coming up with an army, if you're trying to be anything other than I've taken 4 Gargants, if you're trying to do something clever, like I'm taking Hedonites, or I'm taking a balanced OBR list with this, it takes a certain amount of like preparation to get there, and I think that's a barrier. I mean, we're not even talking about buying the models, getting the models painted, getting them on the table. We're talking about just learning how that faction works, and also like narrowing down what you're doing. And I think like even every faction's got sub factions, and they've got, and that's fine. But then you've got
maybe.
But then what I find is just when you start to get comfortable with something, it changes. Like my Idenef, I was at a point where I was like, I could play this for the rest of the year. But then the handbook comes out and I have to go back to the drawing board and almost like redo the army. And it doesn't really work because the options, the width of the book isn't there. Like thralls come a liability. You don't really have anything to do the damage that isn't thralls. And then he's like, what do you do? Then you just go pure shooting Reavers. Do I want to play Reavers? No. But then if you're going to do a pure shooting list, but eels don't do enough damage. They're overcosted. And you're just like, then you're like, and actually you just think, and then say you go, actually, I've got a list. I've designed that list. I've painted those models. You play your event, and then the 6-month mark hits and it changes. And you're like, well, now it doesn't work.
It's not twice as good. Twice as bad, etc.
I just find that stressful and annoying. And especially when you're, I'm not saying I'm like any super hobbyist. Like most of my armies are dry brush contrasts, as people like to call it, a slap chop method. But I've been doing it for a couple of years that's how I paint my models.
Overbrushing, guys.
Yeah, you basically black to white monochrome and then tint it with contrast. I mean, I've been doing. I mean, that if you imagine remember the old dip tutorial I did, that's basically what that was. Yes, very nice. And I just think, yeah, I wish I could stay in Def, Liam, but honestly, I could probably go back now on pure Def. I have been looking at Soulblight. I've got the new Kado, whatever his name is, the new vampire hero. He's cool. I actually think they're quite strong under the new handbook, and I really like the new Underworld's Warband for the whites, because I think that's how I'm going to do my Graveguard. So now that I'm like, oh, Soulblight range, so I might go back to do the Soulblights. But yeah, I mean, I was going to play Nighthaunt, but I don't know, I've kind of been turned off them for a bit. I just don't.
What
do
we really change then, and why? So we've outlined the situation. You know, there was a lot of stuff changing, a lot of stuff moving around. Maybe we or I, at least, like I just couldn't take in that amount of information and give it out in a coherent fashion. What have we done to kind of come to that?
I put the link in the chat. If people want to check out the rules pack, I mean, obviously people in the chat are probably coming. Obviously, recognise most of the names. So really, what I wanted to do, and like I know we had some people say, "Oh, this is actually more to learn." And I did look at taking the General's Handbook pack and removing elements of it, but so much of it is intertwined. You just simply can't do that.
No,
you just can't. You know, the Galatian veterans and the formations and the bounty hunters and then the command ability and the proving ground, it's all ingrained into all the missions, into everything. And it's like, it's easier just to ignore the battle pack. So one of the things I wanted to do was to address the formation issue. So when I write lists, there's always that, does it fit into a 1-drop? Do I do Warlord? And I don't really think it adds a lot, honestly.
Descriptive, isn't it? There's not that much variety in it. If you see some outliers and 3% of people have taken them.
Yeah, and you saw it even from the stats from Carnage. Like, it's either a battle regiment or it's Warlord, bounty hunters, blah blah. Plus, whatever. So like, you got the two choices, or it's like battle regiment with bounty hunters, or expert conquerors only in certain factions, and it's kind of a bit boring. So what I wanted to do was to remove core battalions. That's battalions in general. White Dwarf battalion's any battalion, so you can't use any of them. You don't use grand strategies. You don't use the General's Handbook realm rules. The battle pack's not used. You can't use Fondia or an Incarnate because honestly, it's a problem in the game, and I think it's recognised widely, especially the TTS community. It's quite widely used, from my understanding. So the idea is you don't use any of those rules because actually, I find they don't add a lot to the game. What you do want is you want to unlock the symbols of the battalions, which is the expert, magnificent, slayers, strategist, swift. Now, the 1-drop or unified, I just removed it because I thought, actually, how do you point that? If you point your whole army drops as 1, what is it, 100 points, 200 points? Or would you just say,
it's difficult, isn't it?
Actually, to get the decision onto the turn, you just have to take less units. So your decision
pushes people who have got already good battle line into a more convenient situation, and people who have worse battle line into a less convenient situation. So actually, it ends up, furthering the rift between maybe solid books and maybe less solid books. Yeah,
and like things like Behemat become stronger for a point because they're always going to be a 4-drop basically or less. Maybe 5-drop at the maximum, but I don't see many that are above 4. And the idea is you can buy your extra artifact, you can buy, Slayers, Strategist, Swift, whatever you want to do, and they cost the points, but you can only have 100 points maximum. So if you want to have like 2 artifacts, then that's all your points gone. If you want to buy like Expert, Slayers and Magnificent, you could do that. If you just want to buy one of them, we don't want to buy any of them. And obviously what that does as well, that kind of takes away your pool of points for units, endless spells, triumphs. So there's a cost of them to you, but you're not restricted in, I need to have these types of models to fit in a formation to unlock them, because that just, some armies don't care and some do, and I just don't think it's well balanced across
some armies just literally just like flow their way into it. Like, sweet, I was here anyway.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah,
it's like my Idnef basically fit perfectly into a battle regiment. We're not even making any concession.
Really good at it as well.
Whereas other armies are like, well, I need 2 monstrous heroes and I can't fit in that. So like it's, I say it doesn't. Yeah, it was just one of those things I wanted to remove. So the generals, the normal FAQs and everything's in effect. So Zinch is legal because they were out a week before. So they're okay if people want to take the new disciples.
To see what comes as well from teams.
Yeah, Matt Clark's bringing them, so I'm quite excited to see how he gets on. Then we've got it's 2,000 points, tabletop TO, all that sort of stuff. So I won't go through painting terrain, all that, because that's kind of basic stuff. The terrain, we're going to use some of the rules, so like cover, garrison, impassable, wildwood, and we're going to have labels that I need to put on the tables. But basically, like, it's no big deal. It's basically the standard rules you'd normally use in Age of Sigmar. There's no difference there, really. So we're not using the battle plans from the handbook, obviously. We just wrote our own. And house rules, we've got our own ones. So the purple sun one will go away, so ignore that. We'll just use the GW one now. But chronomatic cogs essentially means that only you don't get to re-roll your cast all the time for everything that's within range. So you just get +1 to cast rolls for friendly wizards that are whole within 12, basically.
Again, it's another one that helped things that were already good more and things that were less good less. So
yeah. Then launching the Soul Seeker. So I've changed that the wizard cannot move in the following movement phase, but may charge as normal. Now, there are some people claiming that because the spell says they can move in the next movement phase, and you move endless spells in both players' hero phase, that you can then move the unit you use launching on in your opponent's turn. Obviously, that's not the intent from what I understand, but the reason that rule was on there was to stop people like flying Franco across the board, moving up close, then warp fire brazering people to death, basically.
Completely non-interactive.
Yeah. Then the Nighthaunt, Cruelgast Cruciator, Empowered for Execution does not stack, so you can't stack the negative. Thanks, Liam. You can't. I'm old. I'm showing my age with a custom pack. You can't stack the minus damage. You can still get minus damage, but it's just that you can't have multiple doing it. The wording's a bit weird. I couldn't work out how to word it in a way that could be picked apart, so I just said it doesn't stack, and then people can ask me if they're not sure what that means. The foxes can't move in your opponent's phase. We've done that at the last event, and I still think that should be just the rules.
Standard. Yep.
We talked about the Slaves to Darkness Khorne Demon Prince. I never really thought about it from a narrative point of view, but I think someone said it to me that why does it make sense that the Khorne Demon Prince stops you fighting?
No fighting, guys. That's what Khorne's about.
So decided to change it that basically you can re-roll running charges if you're within 18 of it. So it's still got a decent effect, but
anger. Yeah.
Yeah. Aura of Chaos, I've changed the Zinch aura, which is basically a 6-up ward rather than reroll ones on save, because being able to save stack and get to a 1 or 2-up save rerolling ones on Archon stuff is just not very fun. Like Knights of the Empty Thralls and things like that is just crazy. And then the Arcane Tome changed that to not turn people into wizards. It just gives you a 2+ dispel and end a spell or remove an invocation from the table. So
quite powerful on that, isn't it? Because it's no longer a default, and actually, if people have got like a one trick pony, you might be able to turn off their trick.
It's good for getting rid of invocations. Probably the best use for it because they're not normally removable.
The Daughters ones are so good at the moment.
Yeah,
Price Lights as well, but you see Daughters more.
Yeah, and the Khorne ones as well. So it's like it gives you a way of dealing with that if that's a particular thing and you want to get rid of them. I mean, I don't know if anyone's taken it. I haven't checked the list yet. I imagine no.
Yeah, it's not sexy, but it's good, right?
No. Yeah, it's a bit like me, So yeah, I mean I was in two minds. Like I was thinking, do I just ban it? And I know there's a lot of builds that use it. Like you've got the Iron Jaws give it to the guy on the Maw Crusher, give him then the command trait because he's a wizard and all that. And I'm like,
I tried playing without it the other day, and my army is so much worse. And
yeah,
it kind of makes sense that my great big dragon isn't a wizard.
And it's like the default in Sons of Bahamut and things like that. And I kind of feel, yeah, Calvin, I know, that's why I did it for Hex Gorgeous Skulls. That's why I did that artifact. But if you've got a magic heavy army, they could be the thing you want to get rid of, right? So
yeah, powering it through, absolutely. Some of the Daughters ones are nuts. They're so good.
Heart is just crazy.
Oh, it's grim. Yeah, absolutely grim.
So that's the kind of the house rules. So obviously we've removed battalions. We've said not using Galatian veterans, all that kind of stuff. You can buy your symbols. Some rule changes to stuff that's a little bit on the outliers. I mean, it's not everything. There's other stuff. Now, we made a conscious decision. We weren't going to try and bring the bottom up because you then start almost rewriting the game at that point.
You can't, yeah.
There's definitely stuff we've missed.
The ones who are struggling, like, what are you going to do? Make them like 1,500 points and give them 5,000 more models? It's not quite a good idea, is it? We've tried stuff before.
Yeah, and it worked to a point. I think what we've done in this is rather than trying to give them extra points, we've just given those players and it's copied from Alex's Carnage event where they compete for their own trophy, basically, which is like the best of the worst, if that's not the right term, but then I've got basically, we talked about the battle plan. So what I've done is, if you look at the battle plans in most of the books, they've got the same rules repeated on every battle plan. So all I've done is put those at the front and said, these are the rules. Like you have your armies, you have your deployment, you have victory points, you control 1, you control 2, you control more. That's easy, it's always the same. Deployment's always 9 away from the opponent's territory, unless so if you've got a box with a no man's land, then obviously you can use that whole box without, because you're still 9 away, so use your imagination. Now this is probably the bit there where we start going into changing the game significantly, which I think adds a lot and is probably what makes people think, oh, this is more complicated, but it's not really. It's just, so basically removed secondary objectives, so battle tactics. So battle tactics are gone and replace them with secondary objectives. So the biggest difference here is you can't use your battle tome ones, your white dwarf ones, the ones out the handbook, they've all gone, because obviously they're all tied into Galatian veterans. We don't have Galatian veterans, so what you do.
Also, straight away, some people have got ones that are easier than others. Daughters of Cain, you turn up and you exist, and you may well get 3 out of 5 without moving.
But then Nurgle, you summon that great and clean one on the objective, wholly in their territory, and it's
just he makes a charge.
And he charges.
Yep.
It's just easy.
And he wipes out a unit.
All
of it.
And then on
4
Sunday,
out of 5
he stands on a leg, and So basically, because the way that I think the last handbook had quite nicely balanced missions, ignoring the bonus points, I think the game's at a point now where some factions got a significant advantage here. So just wanted to reset that and change the way they work. So the way it works now is they're scored for a battle round, not for your turn. So
putting that into what it means, people got to pick at the same time.
Starting with the player who's taking the first turn in the round. So you're going to say, I'm going to do this. But if, for example, you're going to do domination, it says control more objectives than your opponent at the end of the battle round, and you're going first in that battle round, you've got to hold them for their turn. So, and you score 1 additional if you control all the objectives at the end of the round. So if you're going second, then that's actually an easier one to do in the battle round.
Going your opponent's side.
Going second also allows you to see what they're doing. So you might pick one, which means that if they do theirs, they have to expose the model, which means you could easily get yours. Or by doing theirs, that you almost can guarantee yours.
Yeah, or you stop them from getting the bonus point, or a lot more depth to it, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. And then what I've done is that they can only be used once, just like battle tactics. So if you pick like leader legend, you can't use that every battle round. That's just once per game. Obviously, every game you get this list again, so you can use them multiple times in the tournament. But for each game, it's once per battle round. But they also, some of them have got 2 halves. So some are you score 1, which is generally quite safe to do, and a bonus point if you, and there always 2 points basically, so it's either 1 and 1 or it's 2 points, or it's so, but basically you can go, I'll get a safe 1, but it's a risky 2. So if you're up in the game, you can bank safe ones. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, coveted trinkets. Pick a model of an artifact of power from your army and a model in your opponent's army that has an artifact of power. You score a point if the chosen friendly model is still alive at the end of the battle round, and you score a victory point if the chosen enemy model is slain by the end of the battle round. And you can select this if you don't have a viable friendly model, because you can still kill theirs. So if they've already killed your artifact hero, you can still pick it and go, I'm going to kill that model with the artifact. And the idea of this is that you could safely bet that your model's going to survive, because you could be at the back of the board on turn 1 and ain't going to get to him. But you're probably not going to kill theirs. So it's kind of that, I'll bank 1.
It's not just like a flat, like, yeah.
But the biggest issue, and the reason I've done this, is so many games, you basically go to your turn and you look, which is the battle tactic I can do, which is guaranteed, cannot be stopped, and
non-interactive.
There's no tactic to it. It's just, I could do this one. I could do this one. So the only tactic really is, do you use up easy ones too early, or you kill their army and you don't have to be able to score it? But then a lot of people just go, you've won. And then they go, do you reckon you could get 5 battle tactics? Yeah, I've got plenty I could get. I've got this one I could take up.
Stand my guy here.
But nobody really checks. Yeah. And you're like, well, so the idea of this is to encourage people to be tactical on the table, because if you take the first turn and have the advantage of, you've got the priority, you've got the emphasis of the game, or you're doubling them back or whatever, it's harder for you to achieve those objectives, but it's easier for you to achieve more in the game by killing stuff or taking board position and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it's meant to offset that a little bit. I've had a few people play games and they've given feedback and said that they like it. You've played a couple of games, haven't you?
Yeah, I found like you definitely, there's that initial bit where you're like, this is more to think of now. You think that, and then you pick it. And then there's this wonderful moment almost like immediately after, and you're like, sweet, I'm done. I know what my objective is. There's no like priority target or crazy stuff going on. I'm just going to try and concentrate on that. That's that.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Like really, really nice. The mental deload is huge in comparison.
Yeah. And I think, I just think it's a better way of doing it. Obviously, I would say that it might come across a bit arrogant, but I hope that people playing at the weekend will enjoy the dynamic of it.
After 1 minute, I'll have a lovely time every turn.
I hope
guaranteed.
So. Yeah, that's the plan.
For the first 1 minute, and then after all that, you'll be like, sweet, I'm going to make this one decision now, and then I'm going to concentrate on tactics and moving my stuff and being a nice opponent and having a good time.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that there's good stories come out of the game. And what I remember from back in the day is you'd have a discussion about people's games and there was like this back and forth in this story. I don't get a lot of that in AOS anymore.
No.
I don't know if it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just jaded.
Very often it's someone getting away initially and someone trying to catch them, and then they do what they do.
And I felt
I think that's the flip-flop. It's whether someone who is catching up who maybe does more damage or grinds better, whether they overtake them or they don't, and that's kind of it, 10, 4 or 5.
Yeah, and so we'll see. I'm hoping that people enjoy that. Now that people will have a sheet with all this on that Alex has done for us, so they're going to have a sheet of these objectives they can tick off and that. And I know Matt's, who's in the chat's, made his own cards, which I think is really cool.
He just said something nice. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. The next one is changing the grand strategies. Because obviously, remove grand strategies. So back in the day, you used to have these things called hidden agendas, secret missions, whatever you want to call them. I know Alex does these with his movie themed ones. But these are basically your game mission in addition to just winning on victory points. So these ones are add 5 victory points to your total in the game. So not just 3, but 5. So that's like a bigger impact. But they also add tournament points. They're kind of very important. Now, if you're going first, you select one of these and then the other person selects theirs, so that you kind of get that issue where if you're going first in the battle round, you know,
giving up some information beforehand.
Yeah. Each player must select a bonus objective for the game. So these are just, you just select them and then you reveal them. So you're not doing it as like, you know what theirs is, but you both select them, then you say this is what I'm doing. So it's open information. And you basically say, you know, you've got these 8. So you've got Inspire Commander, choose a non-unique hero that's on the battlefield. You must survive. So, you know, you can't pick like Archeon, whatever. But you've got to say that hero's got to survive the battle. So obviously, your opponent then knows I've got to kill that model. So you're putting it, but you can use that to your advantage as well. Then you've got like Monster Smite, choose a non-unique monster in your army that's on the battlefield. The monster must survive the battle, so it's a similar. Then Best of the Best, choose a battle line. They must survive the battle. So those 3 are kind of the same, but different units. Then you've got My Precious, choose an objective. You must control that objective at the end of the battle. So it's one of the easier ones if you win in the game. Then you've got like Assassination, mark an enemy hero. That hero must be slain. Then you've got Big Game Hunter, choose any monster. That must be slain. So obviously if they pick keep it alive and you pick kill it, then, you know, it's kind of, it's done. And it will always go in the Mystical Might, choose a non-unique priest or wizard. They must survive. And then Broken Ranks, destroy 3 enemy battle line units by the end of the battle. So they're all kind of basic, but they revolve either keeping something alive or killing something. So
something, if you are going first and you say I'm picking that, your opponent might have a chance to immediately try and switch it off in some situations, which is pretty cool, isn't it?
Lemon Pip, that's not good. So then basically it's victory points. You have to beat them by 5 victory points to score a major, or it's a minor. So if you win by 3 points or 2 points, it's a minor victory. You have to beat them by more than 5. So 5 or more. So basically it's so more than 5. So you need like, you know, so that allows you then to go, I've got a major because I've actually got far enough ahead. I've not just won by 1 point, you know, it's so and then if you're tied, it's a draw. So basically it's similar to your current game, but you need a bigger margin to claim a major. It's not just I won by 1 point. So because I always found that close games and you win by 1 and you're like, oh, I've got a major, and you're like, oh, really? You know, if you hold someone to like 28, 29, you're like, why is it a major loss, major win? If it's that small a margin, I just think
summonable unit question.
Yeah. So it says, how does Best of the Best work with units such as summonable Soul Blight? Does the resummon unit count as surviving? No, it doesn't. So, and it's the same as like destroy 3 battle line. If they summon a unit that's battle line and you kill it, that still counts towards the cap of 3. Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to have 3 at least. They might summon more, so that's another
means
decision.
A bonus, right? Anyone who's got something available to them is already living the good life. It's not bad having summoning.
So then made our own deployment maps and missions. They're very simple. They're just a map and a rule, and that's it. So you've got mission 1, which you can see on the screen. It's just diagonal deployment, and it's just you control 2 points if you hold this one, and in addition to your normal points of hold 1, hold 2, hold more. And they can't be removed or moved by any special rules. They can't be kicked. They can't be whatever. If there's anything that would remove objectives, they just can't be. So they can't be moved around.
One of my favourite deployments, that one, because you can be close if you want, but can also be far if you want. So it's not, you know.
Yeah, I like diagonal like this. I think it's good because you could be aggressive, or you can use the depth to keep your model safe in the bow snakes or whatever, you know. So then mission 2, which is very simple. You score an additional point if you gain control of an objective for your opponent this turn. So if you have 1 to 2 more, and then you've captured 1 off of them, you score 1 bonus point. And that's per objective. So if you take all 3 of them back, you get 3 bonus points. So that's a kind of, you know, it's the same, But there's an added thing where if you take an objective, you've got to hold it. So it's kind of to encourage people to be a bit more, not just like sneaking a couple models on and they take it back and then you still scoring the same. And that's actually used. I think it was Total Conquest. I think had that, and I quite like that mission. It was diagonal deployment, that one, but I just took the special rule. Similar diagonal deployment, obviously 3 objectives in the middle of the table, smaller territories. And again, it's got the same rule: gain additional point if you take it off your opponent this turn. So it's similar, And this one you can't move the objectives. This one you can, so it's fine. So basically, on the map, if the objective's got the star on it, they can't be kicked. And then we've got mission 4, which is the 6 objectives, and it basically this is the loot one. So at the end of the battle round, starting from battle round 2. You may loot an objective in your opponent's territory that you control. So you score these points at the end of the battle round. So it's kind of like you'd score your normal victory points at the end of your turn, and then at the end of the round, you go who's got a model within one you control, and then you could say I'll score an extra point. You don't remove the objective. You're not capped at this. You could do it for every objective. You could go, I'm going to loot. If you've got 3, if you control all 3, and you've got a unit within one of each one, at the end of the battle round you score 3 additional points because you say I'm going to loot these. So you can you could do that, and so you don't remove it. It could be looted in further turns. You can't move or remove them by special rules, so these ones are fixed, so you can't get rid of these.
Not as swingy as rolling a D3 or something, is it?
No, and again,
and never be used again, which was just always felt really bad.
I remember losing a mission because I didn't roll 2 dice. I had to roll on 2d3 I had to roll 3 or more, and I got 2, so I lost the mission. I was like, that just doesn't seem right.
Planned really well. It was just really variable, isn't it?
And then mission 5 is your kind of diamond, and then again it's just you score 2 additional if you hold the home. But again, it's score 1, score 2, score more, and you can't move those objectives or remove them. So very simple. They're not anything crazy. I'm not trying to create a story. I haven't chosen to have no reserves. So if you've got Stormcast or any army that wants to ambush, none of these missions stop you doing that. So you've got the no reserves rule, or your summoned units can't charge or anything like that, because those sort of things you forget easily as well. You'll play a mission and you go, oh shit, I charged that unit when I summoned it and I shouldn't have done, and then you go, oh, what do I do now?
Oh crap. Yeah.
So that's it, really. I mean, obviously we've got a painting competition, and we've got the scenario points, and we've got strategy points, which are for the bonus objectives. As we mentioned, you've got your 100 points for your wins, losses, draws. Army list points. Most people got a listing on time.
Shiny
so thanks
prizes.
for that. Lots of shiny prizes.
Look at that shine.
Look at that.
Guys,
so that's one of the trophies
practice.
being painted by Byron. So, that's it, really. And then we've got the painting competition in the evening. But that's the pack. So really the key changes, just to summarise, are no battalions, changes to battle tactics, changes to grand strategies, new missions, and some house rules, basically. So it's not reinventing the world.
5 or 6 things, really, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Once you got over the hump, they're quite easily digestible.
Yeah, and I think so. I've a few people have played games. I know we've got a WhatsApp chat for the people who are attending, and we said, give us your feedback if there's anything you want to change. And then a couple of people that I know have been playing, and they've been saying that they've been sort of
close games,
very sort of okay with it, and like my friend Brian and his son's getting back into Warhammer, and he doesn't really. They've been trying to take it step by step, so they stripped a lot of the game rules out so he could get into the game, because he found it quite difficult to relearn the game, and he used to play back in the day, I think in 8th edition or 7th edition. So it's kind of one of those things that they've been playing it a lot, and they've said that they actually quite like it, and there hasn't really been any feedback like, oh, this feels wrong or this feels. I know some people, it's quite funny, I asked a few different people in the run up to releasing the pack, and some people's feedback was, oh, going second's too strong, and other people saying going first is too strong. And I thought, well, if competitive people are falling on the different side of that line as initial reaction, it's probably okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the real test will be once it hits the tables and people start playing it. So
I think it encourages you to write a more balanced army. So I played Brad a couple of times. Brad was playing with Nurgle, it's really strong. I was playing with Iron Jaws, and Iron Jaws aren't fantastic matched into Nurgle, like the antithesis of it, especially the list that I wrote that was pretty dumb, to be honest. I'm looking at it, I was just like, if I had a wider selection of stuff, it would be great. Played one game against Brad and he had a more polarized list. And then his next game, he was just spread more evenly, various options, and he specifically wrote a list that would not struggle with going second as much. So he'd have a more obvious option, maybe get a bonus out of it if he played well. He smashed me in the second one. He smashed me in the first one too, because I tried some stuff. But in the second one, he was like, no, I think I've got this. I can give you this weird one. And if you want that bonus, you got to come right into my midfield and go after this. And I tried, and it was an awful idea. So but it was really, really good fun, actually.
And that's kind of what I want people to use the missions as a way of baiting your opponent into making bad play decisions.
It's so much more interesting, right? You could do it with the grand strategy. You could be like, I'm going to give up these 5, and I'm going to sucker someone into here, over here, so I can eke out a win by like 6 points here, and I'm going to get the minor. Be wicked.
Yeah, and I'm hoping there's going to be some good stories from the weekend, and there'll be some. I'll be really interested to see how it lands and what the feedback is, and how people find the missions and the sort of the games in general. I've had a few people say they prefer it to the handbook, which is like very complimentary. I wasn't going out there to poo-poo on the handbook. For me, I found that the handbook almost invalidated some of my older armies as well. And like, if I wanted to play them, I was like, actually, if I want to play my Deepkin, I just can't really in the handbook. I know you can, but you're just going to get frustrated because it doesn't do what it should be doing. I don't want people hitting my thralls with 2 damage. Like they don't even like damage anyway. Like it's
some units getting 200% damage is an unbelievable swing. Like let's put that in perspective for the long term of the game. Let's say, I have played with brutes for however long. Let's say they're pretty good, they're solid, and then suddenly they're a fairly solid elite unit that can be buffed. It's efficient to put 1 buff into that 1 unit. Suddenly they get 200% damage, then I put a war turner on, they get 300% damage. How on earth in the next edition am I meant to like recalibrate that, work out what's going on, adjust it, split them up into 5s maybe because smaller units are better, adjust to it, and then like 1 month later there's going to be another general's handbook where maybe, I don't know, maybe artillery get really good or something like that. It's
and that's the annoying thing, right? So like I've been looking at we talked about it on the Blackout show, and I talked about stalkers in OBR.
Very timely.
So obviously Bill Sousa is just, I think he just 5-0'd an event with 2 units of 9.
Absolute perma-wad Bill Sousa swans in with the left field list. Who knows?
And then we had Ollie doing really well at Blackout with big stalker blobs. Now, they've been dropped in points, right?
Yep.
So they've got good because a couple things. One, they get to reroll saves without a command ability, so they can't be roared. Huge. They've got ways to reroll charges in OBR, which nothing else can. Huge. And you do that command ability in the hero phase, so it doesn't stop you doing anything else in any of the other turns.
Not huge.
They have a lot of rend, so they can just smash, especially if you play Petrifix and you go there rend free, and I've done the +1 rend, +1 damage, so they're just going to smash you.
And the big
if
one,
you're being aggressive, and then the other unit could be defensive because you've got these quadracs, so really efficient with RDP, not you need it. And then you're like, they can fight because they can be battle line with a Soul Mason. They become Galatian veterans. Therefore, they could be expert conquerors. Therefore, they get triple capture power. If you want to do that, I mean, I don't think many people are doing that in those lists. They're probably just making them bounty hunters. And then you're basically going in and you could just smash stuff. And they can fight if they're in half an inch of another one. So they're on 50 mil bases, so that doesn't matter.
That's the biggest thing, right?
But what happens? You go, right, cool, I've got this really cool stalker list and I've painted 18
by 18. Let's say that situation.
And I'm now going into the event and I've won a couple games and I'm really loving it.
Good stuff.
Then the next they look, and this is the kind of the issue I have with reactive. I know the people involved and they're not stupid enough to just not accept the fact that these rules change as well. But say, for example, you go into the new handbook and the Galatian veteran fight within half an inch is gone, right? So suddenly you look at the performance of that unit and the uptake in the list and the win rate of that army, and because it's such a small faction, they are way more susceptible to being impacted by these sort of changes. It's the same as like the IDNF, like changes to Thralls being Galatian veterans is bad. I'd rather they weren't.
Splitters, a few
It makes a
diehards,
huge difference,
plugging
right?
away. Yeah.
Then you invest in it and you go, and sort of Matt's just said, and you turn up, you painted it, you've done your event, you maybe play a couple of events. It depends how frequent you are. I probably play one a month, if maximum now. I used to do 20 a year back in my day. But if you're saying, okay, I've got 3 months worth of gaming out of it, I've probably got 3 tournaments, maybe 4 max.
Yeah.
Then
we know how long those kits take to build, don't we, Russ, as well?
Oh god, I mean, they're just awful. The new handbook drops, and then say, for example, that goes away.
Artillery.
And you're
artillery
like,
time.
Well, I can't run 9 stalkers in a unit twice because that's trash, right?
333. Feel dead.
So what you do? You go MSU, but then you just realise they're just not that good.
Can't spend points in the same way.
So you're just like, well, what am I doing? And I think you because of the rules in the handbook, like bounty hunters, Galatian veterans, they make units significantly different.
It's an incredible
to what they
filter
do from their army book.
Right. Every 6 months to drop a filter that is that severe over stuff, like a little nuance, but
and like you think about
being able to double the amount of things that are attacking.
The last handbook wasn't so bad because you had bonus points for monsters and you got a couple of command abilities, but it wasn't like monsters suddenly got like +4 damage and they could run and charge and they could do X, Y, Z.
With one hand, monsters are dead good. With the other hand, you brought in a battalion that everyone could take that said, no rolls, you can't be a monster against me. You can't get these bonuses against me. No,
and like for me, like I'm just like, do I even want to go down the route of thinking about that army? Or do I do what probably the sensible thing and you say, well, I'm going to play a faction that's got a wide variety, Stormcast or Daughters, whatever.
Everyone's the slightly more dilute identity.
Those armies are just going to be good regardless.
Soulblight, really good now, I think.
Yeah, and again, they're kind of susceptible to if anything changes on its head a little bit, but they've got out of the death factions, they're probably the most grounded one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, but basically what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to ride that roller coaster, and I don't like the fact that if I want to be competitive with OBI, I probably have to. That's my. If I want to play OBI,
well, I mean, you spoke about the list, and then 2 weeks later, the list you spoke about.
It's almost obvious. Like it's just so obvious.
Not to take anything away from, obviously, it's a perennial
of course. I mean, you have to play it.
Player.
And, you're not saying it's just an auto win, but I just think like it's a good choice to be competitive with that. Anyway, so our pack, the idea is to sort of ignore that kind of flip-flopping of power and take it back to a kind of more basic but not lose tactical depth in the game. And going forward, I think I always want to run a version of this battle pack and not, regardless of whatever the handbook is, and I'm not saying that they're not going to write good ones or they don't do a good job or the rules team aren't good at what they do. It's fine, and a lot of people love the handbook. That's completely fine, and I'm not trying to say it's bad or I'm better or this is better or anything like that. But I just think, personally, because the way I play Warhammer, I like my armies to have more longevity, and I think that this would enable that if it was more solid like this. So yeah, I don't.
It's much more friendly if you've got less time and less mental width. Like I'm a I'm a fairly unique individual in a load of ways. I just can't take on that amount of information. No. Like the amount of times that Russ has to explain really slowly and patiently rules to me when I'm like, it happens a lot. I'm not dumb, but it really does happen frequently. But I just can't get it. So I'm going to end up turning up to every single event with a 3 or 4 war scroll army that does 3 or 4 things maximum, unless you play under a system like this, which is what I did to my last event. Literally, just took like a childish, spewy rebellion army. It went accidentally well. But then I played stuff wrong, which felt awful.
Yeah.
It felt really bad.
But I generally don't think many events, like people, even seasoned players like yourself, you are let's not forget you are the first AOS champion or whatever they called it in,
when things weren't changing so fast.
And then you even like Freddie Leggett, I played at Blackout. We played the mission completely wrong. Like even having it open in front of us.
Oh, it happens tons.
And then he went to Warhammer World event. I think came second, or he podiumed basically. Freddie's a legit player, knows his stuff. I consider myself pretty switched on, and we still completely misplayed the scenario. And I just think, how is that happening? It's just,
I've done it. I've done it against Brian Carmichael. Like Mr. like up on his shit, Mr. Rules, absolute pleasure of opponent, like measuring on a millimeter, absolute gen, and will smash your back doors in. And I can remember one event against him, and we were just like, at the end, we were like, oh crap, like when you take that thing off someone, you get twice as much if it's been like this, and if it's in a territory or something. Like if. Like people can't do that, especially while there's a load of stuff going on in a noisy room against someone they've never met before.
You almost have to concentrate so much on remembering things. You don't actually make tactical decisions. You're just trying to remember the rules and go through the motions.
It does make you a worse opponent as well.
Old now.
Well, I don't know. Like let's face it, there's quite a lot of people who may have symptoms of something or another in this hobby, and at the same time as trying to be a good, decent opponent and communicate clearly and whatever, and remember 700 other things, something is going to slip. That might be remembering the things. Yeah. That might be, being as interactive, might be being as fun, it might be being as chill, whatever it is, it's going to happen. Like, you can't keep all of those things up in the air at the same time and play to your best ability and have a wonderful time.
Yeah, and Matt's saying what I think I've sort of said before is that it feels like a video game where you're stacking systems on systems on systems. He uses World of Warcraft as an example, and I agree with what he's saying there. And also saying he sacked off trying to bend to the game, and he's just going to play the game he wants to play, which I think is kind of what I want to do, but I don't want to get punished competitively for that.
Absolutely. A video game presents it for you as well, doesn't it? Like, a video game's got little things flashing up and exploding and countdowns going on. Like, we don't have any of that. We don't have a heads-up display for Warhammer. I wish we bloody did. It'd be great. I'd actually know what was going on.
We should just did the math, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Paul, I'm sure there'll be enough for you, Paul. We always make sure the bar's well stocked for you when you know
always
you're attending.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's the pack. I'd be interested to see what people think. If you're not coming but you want to play it, you can download the pack, play it with your friends, give us feedback. I'm still really interested to see what you think.
Absolutely.
Obviously, if there's anything in there that you disagree with, let us know. I mean, we're happy. We're open to input. I'm not trying to do it to upset anyone, or as some people would say, so I can win my own event or any crazy shit like that. Because I'm not playing. I'm not intended to play.
I would love to play into this pack though.
Yeah.
Even though my army got worse. Absolutely.
Yeah. Iron Jaws did take a bit of a hit. It's the arcade tone, basically, really, isn't it? So
that's fine.
But I think they were doing quite well. So there's a few. Yeah, there's a few. I'm interested to see where Sons of Behemat come out. I think they should get quite strong in this. Yeah. There's quite a few attending actually, and I think it's a good segue to talk about the event and who's coming. We've had quite a lot of dropouts now. People might say it's the pack, and maybe. So we're down to about 50 odd people. I think combine that with cost of living, timing, the fact we sold tickets quite early, so people committed.
If you want to turn up last minute, you are absolutely welcome. It's going to be a hoot.
Yeah, there's tons of space. If you want to come, the tickets are on the web store.
They will be on tap, even after Paul Haley.
Even if you didn't, you turn up on the day and you pay your money, you play, not a problem. So we've got the lists are live. You can go to the TTO Tabletop TO website for that, and I'll just stick a link in the chat so you can go. I'm sure everyone in there knows, or they're attending. So but you can go over here and say, you've got your faction breakdown. So it's just easier for me rather than putting in Excel. So we've got quite a lot. We've got 5 Sons of Behemat.
That is a much better diagram than normal, isn't it?
It is quite nicely spread out.
That's brilliant.
So we've got 4 Stormcast, we've got some 3 of Sylvaneth, we've got 3 Iron Jaws, we've got 2 Nighthaunt, we've got 2 Soulblight, 2 Caradron, 1 Cities, 2 Khorne, 3 Nurgle, 2 Gloomspite. So it's fairly balanced. We don't have any Head Knights of Slaanesh. I think we only got 1 Fleshy
There's so much help you can give him.
1 Legion, 1 Disciples of Zinch, 1 Luminef, 1 OBR. Thanks, Matt, for Tim. I'm disappointed with Tim Pierce. He's playing Sylvanef, and I'm not happy about it. But I'm really interested to see what his army looks like. But,
I'm really psyched to see it.
Yeah, so I'm hoping he's going to blow us away with his painting like he normally does. So yeah, and it's a good mix at Beastclaw Raiders. They basically ogre more tribes, which I don't know why I've put Beastclaw, just because you know that was probably me being slow. But basically, there are quite a few ogres as well. I think there's quite a few. My eyesight's gone now. There's 3 Seraphon, so it's about 3 of each. 1 Daughters, 2 Skaven. So it's a fairly decent mix. I mean, I think the biggest faction is Sons of Behemat with 5 of them. So
sure. It's been a while. I'm up for that being a resurgence.
Yeah, and I think it's a very nice mix. So you know, we're interested to see what comes out on top. But yeah, 3 ogre more tribes technically because there's 2 in the Beastclaw, which is
right.
But yeah,
Catacross.
Yeah, Catacross is a tank. So I'm there. I'm excited. Some good players attending as well. So I'm interested to see what's going to take out the event.
Super interested. Wide open. Yeah, it's gonna. Well, I'm really interested to see what on earth is happening even at the end of day 1. I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. Just like where's what.
And the missions are played in order, so there's no like random. It's just the order they're in, 1 to 5. That's the order we're playing them in. So, I've got some lists to go through. So I want to just pull out a few of people that I think could potentially do well. I mean, obviously I don't know some of these people, so I'm if I don't mention you. And maybe Glenn, it should be split, but I don't know. I didn't do it that way. So it's just what's available on TTO. I don't think they have that split, but there you go. So obviously you've got a couple. The Daughters Army, which again has got Marathi in it, and an Iron Scale, and it's got Witch Elves, Blood Sisters, Blood Stalkers. So I know that could be good. I mean, it's Daughters of Cain, right? They're good, just generally.
I think those are going to be solid. They don't need their battle tactics. They're just a good book.
No, you've got Lofnir Fire Slayers with Alex Bruce, so we'll see how he gets on. Could be good. Then I haven't really looked at the Stormcast list too much, but I think they could actually, under this pack, I think Stormcast could be very good. Because they are balanced, right? They just got stuff in.
Yes, they are. I mean, there's quite a few low-key balanced books out at the moment. Stormcast, with or without dragons, are one of them. Fire Slayers are also one of them. I just don't think it's getting spoken about that much because people have been taking like 4 Magnados or whatever. There's a few that I think could be very, very solid under this pack. They're well-rounded ones.
Yeah, for sure. Got Andy Bryan with his Seraphon. So
can't stop that book from being good, no matter how hard we try.
No, exactly. Andy Hughes taking Scarlet Doom Nighthaunt, which I think he'll do. He's a good player.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid list. 1 blob of 30 Blade Geists. Some Banshees, lots of Hex Wraiths. It's got all the tools in there. I think that's a very, very good, list. Very good player. One to watch. Ben Smith's Gloomspite. I actually love the look of this army. You've got some photos I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, it's trolls and shamans and endless spells. So what's not to love? So I'm sure he'll have a laugh. Yeah, we got some more. I'm not going to go through these too much because we've got some long strikes in there, some Stormcast. Brad's Maggotkin, which is Blessed Sons, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Lord of Afflictions, Orguts, Morbidix, Bloab. So he's got the Thricefold, the triple Magoth Lords, Festus, 20.
You can guarantee he will have nerded out to maximum power.
20 Rotmire Creed, which is interesting. The underdogs, the Warcry Warband. That's what I want to say. The words in my mouth.
Paul Haley, I have 4 models. Paul, I expect nothing less, nothing more. That is perfect.
Then we've got Calvin's Khorne, which is, I still think they're decent. And
Khorne are incredible.
I just would love to see Khorne do well.
Yeah.
nice to see Karnak and Bloodthirsters, and I'd love
missing
Core.
Martin Morin at the helm, aren't we? He was
Yeah,
piloting
he was
Seoul, UK,
smashing with that. So yes, Calvin, anything that can do that would be great. So Scarbrand's not there, which is great. I mean, the Scarbrand is a powerhouse, but it's nice to see. We've got some Sons of Behemat. We've got Breaker tribes. Gatebreaker, War Stomper. 4 megas, no waiting. Gotta love that. No extra artifact. It's a very simple army, so that's good.
Type of list currently.
We got another one, which is Kragnos, Gatebreaker, Magnificent, and a Man Crusher. I like that one list a lot.
Why not? We've
got Emir with Sylvaneth, so Nalroot. Got some. I don't know enough about Sylvaneth.
Tech Overload. Just presume Tech Overload. Yeah.
Revenant Seekers, I know, are really good, and the Gossamids are decent. Fabian with KO. That's an interesting one. Fabian's a good player. I just think that KO could be decent. They've got
really
a lot of the tools.
Potentially swingy. That first turn, they like it, don't they? If they
That's
can
just
do
how
well.
they play. Like double ironclad list. Really interested to see with Purple Sun in the spell in the bottle. Yeah, I think could be
Plus
good.
Rend, incredible with KO. Probably one of the armies that benefit from it the most, in addition to Skaven, I reckon. Yeah, because they can stop people from stopping it.
Exactly. Alex taking his Iron Jaws army, which is good. Destroyer, gotta love that. So, she got a Fungoid in there, probably because I took the Arcane Tome away. Rogue Idol. We've got Glenn Stormcast. So Knight Draconis, Encounter Redictor, 2 Stormdrake Guard, 6 Raptors with long strikes. Nice. Burning Head, call to aid. So that's good. Really nice looking Seraphon army that I've seen through the chat is Hugh's army with his If It Flaps We Fly It Seraphon. Coalesced. And it's got Ripidactyl Chiefs and lots of Ripidactyls, and Pterodons. Really interested to see how that plays out. Anointed on Flamespire. It's cool. Jack's another Gloomspite armor, which is he's got the big Jog Fort Kicker, Dank Cold, lots of Rock Gut Trolls, which I think is the only sort of Gloomspite list you see now is the Troll list. Jack taking his Bloodtooth's Iron Jaws, which I love Jack, playing Jack, and I think he's a great guy, and I think it's a good list, so still decent.
He knows his stuff. He really knows his stuff. I owe him a bit of credit for playing better recently, absolutely.
Charmers with his beasts, Gravespawn, which is very strong, double Shagoth.
They're looking good as well. He's nearly painted. He's only got 30 more models to go.
Big unit of 20 Zangor, some Chaos Spawns, some Mindstealers, Phalanx is great, Gorgons. A solid army. Beasts of Chaos, I think, top in the chart in win rates at the moment. So, obviously, White Dwarf update a bit too much, probably. So,
at least someone got a good White Dwarf update.
Then we've got James's Kragnos plus Stonehorns and Thunder Tusks. So,
right down my street currently for this edition of the game. Yep, what I'd be playing.
James Everly with his double breaker. Mini Man Crusher mobs, 2,000 points on the nose. He's got his general with the extra wounds and the 6-up ward, which I think is the greatest choice.
He's indestructible, isn't he?
Tinsdale's decided to take Soulblight. I think he was talking about Zinch. Castelli, so he's got his White King with the Rousing Commander and Radikar the Beast and Manfred with Kado, Blood Knight. I love this list. He's got Expert and Swift. I think he's one to watch. I think James could win the event.
Good player as well, and it's his boys. It's his death.
Yeah, and he said because it's October, he wanted to play Soulblight. So
valid.
Love it, commitment. Jimmy with his Skaven. So Verminlord Warbringer. This is a bit, formatting's a bit horrible. Fancore on Bone Ripper, you know, this kind of stuff. Master Molder, some Clan Rats.
Yeah.
Chromatic Cold doesn't have Launchian. You know, some Rat Ogres. Interesting. It's a nice mix. Some Giselles.
Rat Ogres aren't bad for their points these days.
No, they're very good.
Cool.
Yeah. Kyrios to go in with his Sons of Behemat, take a tribe again. So I think he's got a Kraken Eater, a War Stomper, and got to have a Breaker in there somewhere. I can't see it, but yeah. So it's 4 megas.
Box full of nightmares, as you expect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, any list with Felbats, Liam, I'm there. You got it. He's got 3 Felbats. That's it. I'm sold. You got another Seraphon list from Christian, and you know, it's Seraphon, Salamanders, and Stormdrake Guard. You know, got to be good. Some Knights Excelsior. Looks like Annihilators. You know, they get their Paladins to come down 7 away. Signs the Storm. Get that charge in. All good. Got a Flesh Eater army, which I love. It's Morgon, which is interesting. Lots of Arch Regents. So, yeah, 30 ghouls, 10 ghouls, Purple Sun, Spell Portal. Interesting army.
Rend on that army isn't unhelpful, is it?
No, it's good. Dermal Robe's good. Yeah, interesting. Got a Zombie Dragon as well, so you could do a lot of summoning in the army. So, and he's gone for Strategist, I think, for the extra CP. So that's good. Then we've got probably a more traditional Sylvaneth army with the Hunters with great bows, tree revs, the archers, a lot of shooting. Lariel the Everqueen, so interesting army. The Glotkin from Matt Oswald Haggett, which I love. Morbidix and Gutrot and some Bollick Kings in the Blessed Sons. Matt Clark's Disciples.
Army, isn't it?
In Host Arcanum.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Disciples, how they get on.
I really want to see how Matt gets on with these, because I actually think this list is solid. He's got his Gaunt Summoner, Lord of Change, Magister, 10 Horrors, 3 Screamers, because they become battle line. Then Sigil and Simulacrum and the Tomb of Eyes, 3 Unlightened on discs, and 6 Skyfires, 1980. I like that list a lot.
Always look small than they are, aren't they? Like, there's a history of Tzeentch having a list like that, and you're like, oh, it's fine, and then you just get mullered.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you've got a big blob of Skyfires, that's good. But also the 10 Horrors is really more, and you get summoning, so you can kind of get yourself out of jail. It's good. I like it. Another Skaven army. You got the Warp Nor Vermin Lord. I think that's the Forge World one. Some Arch Warlocks. Doomwheel. Always good to see a Doomwheel. Don't see many of those. Warp Lightning Cannons. So lots of shooting. Another KO list. Again, the formatting's a bit of a nightmare, but yeah, I think he's got an ironclad, 2 ironclads as well. Matt's thankfully nicely formatted. Guard in there. I'll see what baby. Sorry, go on.
He's got Stormdrake Guard.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. The Stormdrake Prime. Yeah, just
solid inclusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. In that
so was that 2 ironclads and a unit of Stormdrake Guard? Wow.
It's a mental army. It's crazy.
That is
like uber elite. Just like drop in a zone and dominate it. So potentially like really good actually, but I think you'd have to play it pretty much perfectly.
Dude, this is interesting. Matt's got OBR and he's gone Petrifix, but he's taken Catacross.
Yeah.
Interesting. You have to let me know what the thought was on that, Matt. Or is that a mistake? Should that be more
Matt, put your tech in.
Because it's...
if it's not a secret, in which case don't put it in.
It's cut because his ability doesn't work on non-Mortis Praetorians. So, yeah, interesting.
Maybe he just likes the modelling. He wants to swag around.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know, Liam. Maybe it's just that's what he's got on the models.
Maybe they built them with it because they don't want to be tied to the next 6 months, or 4 or 3.
Michael Browning's taken his Soul Blight, so he's got the Vikros dynasty, which is nice to see Vikros. Manfred, Belladama Volga, Necro, Radagar the Beast, 40 zombies, Direwolves, 20 Graveguard, 5 Blood Knights. It's a nice army.
That says you get the +1 to hit.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good reason. A solid reason.
Yeah, just take the Helm of the
Liam's in there as well. Okay.
So Michael Wilding with his Cities army. So
Phoenix card?
No. Excuse me. No, it's not. It's 15 Outriders, 5 Outriders, and it's like 2. It's a Hurricanum, Luminarch, and a Prime.
Wow, that's a polarized army. Less grindy than his normal fare, but that's some janky stuff. It's like playing with Blood Knights. They just ignore basically most of the rules of the game. So yeah, interesting. Really compact.
Yeah. Like you see, I get some of that. Obviously, he's a very good Cities player.
So I think he likes Strike of Eagles as well. He's taken it 3 times in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Strike of Eagles. Apparently, that's important. Yeah, Matt was saying that Catacross still gets the plus to save on himself. You get -1 rend from bludgeon, and rend reduced by 1 on the armor is better than his command ability. And I suppose you don't care about the RDP and efficiency because you can never spend them anyway. So
yeah, solid, Matt. Good tech. Thank you very much, Matt and Liam.
Michael Wilson with Night Haunt, so it's another one to watch in my opinion. Emerald Host, which I'm not so sold on, but might be good in this pack because you can use your battle tactic, pick their hero, and then over the game they're getting damaged. So maybe it's a lot. You can actually do that. Lady Alinda, nice to see. Love the Grimghast Reapers. You know, he's got the Cruciated Guardian of Souls, so it's a bit more of a balanced list. Miles Mulligan's Khorne, Reapers of Vengeance again. So Bloodthirster, Scarbrand. So it's a bit more of a traditional. So we'll see if Calvin can finish above Miles, and we can know if Scarbrand's needed or not, basically.
Perfect.
There you go. And Beast of Chaos from Nick. So Dragon Ogres, lots of Dragon Ogres, Cockatrices.
7,000 wings.
Zangor. Wow, it's just great, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
they're just solid.
They are ridiculously good. Like Bone Splitters, but varied in the good old days.
Got a Techless list with Bob Ross and Adele. Apparently.
Of course.
So,
naturally.
Fine. With 20 Warden, 20 Sentinel on a spell portal. So interested to see how that gets on. Probably be quite solid. Paul Haley's NWA Sons of Behemat. Kragnos, Gatebreaker, and a Man Crusher. So that's similar. I think someone else has got a very similar. He's old and gnarly, a bit like Paul, with the Amulet of Destiny. So yeah, I like it.
Solid. All gas, no brakes. Wonderful.
Yeah, love it. And he's got the Enchanted Portcullis as well because he's obviously bought an extra artifact. So lovely. Yeah, magnificent. 1990. Richie, another one to watch, in my opinion. Lofnir, so he's gone for all the Magas. He does have 2 Volkite units and the 3 gold unit. I played him at Hampshire GT, and yeah, it was. I played in practice game and I won, and I played in the event and I lost. I definitely think he could be on the podium.
For sure, I think that's far better than everyone gives him credit for.
Yeah, and he's been playing them a lot.
They're his boys as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's the same list. I think it's almost the same list he played me with back at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, interested to see how it goes. Legion of the First Prince, Russ Ward. All the demons. He used to play demons back in the day. Super psyched he's going to be there, but I'm not sure how well he'll get on. Probably 3-2, I reckon. We got an Iron Jaws Bloodtooth army. I think Bloodtooth's probably the way to go in our pack. 6 gore grunters, 6 gore grunters, 3 gore, lots of gore grunters. Really good.
Biggies. You get a lot of wards in. Sorry, runes in, don't you?
Then we've got Frostlord on Stonehorn, Frostlord on Stonehorn, Huskard on Stonehorn, some Stonehorn Beast Riders. So that's all the Stonehorns. Love that. From Sam. Tim Pierce's Sylvaneth, Alariel. Just, you've ditched Catacross and Arcan for Alariel.
I
not
cannot
happy.
wait to see his Alariel.
Really not
Absolutely
happy.
cannot wait. I don't care. I'm up for seeing something new from that boy. I don't care.
That's true. Tom Blacksoul's Ogre More Tribes. So again, Stonehorns. Lots of Stonehorns.
Knows his stuff for that list.
Frost Sabiers, yeah, he does, yeah. And then we've got Tom Hewitt's Fire Slayers on Lofnir. So again, all the Maggers. 2 Stormdrake Guard in that list as well.
Nice. That's going to look good as well, isn't it?
No, I didn't fake a name. I did actually just have myself. Actually, no, Russ Ward is a player from way back. So we actually.
He's AG. Love Russ.
We actually had a really funny game when we played in Reading, and I had this horrendous set of luck where I had like I won't go into too much because people probably don't know any of the old rules of the old game, but my big block of Chaos Warriors with my characters in it on a 10 rerollable leadership test. After I fled a unit of cavalry, which rolled 11, which just clipped them, so they had to take a panic test, failed the panic test, and rolled a double 6 and ran off the board, and 3 of my Skull Crushers got flanked by 3 Nurgling swarms, and they got beaten and run down, and that was on turn 1, and that was basically game. So I ended up on the bottom table at this little event in Reading, playing some poor hapless person saying, "What are you doing down here?" I was like, I don't know, but I'm just about to.
Probability.
Yeah.
1 in 1,836 happened. I'm sorry.
Ross Teal with a Death Army. I love it, Glenn. Don't tempt me. I might pack my my boys in a case if I can get a practice game on the Friday just to try out my own pack. It'd be nice. I'm not played under it yet. So.
Decent selection of armies. That's really nice to see. I hope that the top 10 or 20 is reflected in the variety we've got. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good set, isn't it? I mean, like we're into a nice balanced mix of stuff, and interested to see how it goes. If I'm going to pick a winner, I'm going to say it's going to be between. My heart choice is Tinsdale with Soulblight. I think you're looking at potentially. I think Fabian's a risky choice because although he's good and he's got a good list,
swingy army.
It's a swingy army.
Marmite, isn't it?
I would say if I'm going to hedge my bets, I'd go Andy Hughes with Nighthaunt. I think he's got the chance to take that out.
That's matchup dependent as well, though. If he faces the wrong type of army, it's going to be a lot of damage, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they are solid, and again, they don't have monsters, so maybe some of the tactics. It's a tough one. Richie, I think could be out
a really good pick. Tinsdale and Richie could be a just play face off. Final round, who knows?
Oh, that would be really fun to watch, wouldn't it? That'd be
if it does, guys, I'm going to be standing next to your table making sure you finish.
Yeah, we don't want it like one of their live streams. We'll be there like 4 hours later. They're still playing. It's fine. No, it's good. It's good because they chat and stuff. It's fine. But and I always give Richie grief about that, but it's fine. No, I mean honestly, like there's so many. It could even. I mean, like I still think Nurgle was super solid in this pack.
Nurgle.
I mean, Andy Bryan was
Seraphon. Good. I mean, yeah, exactly.
He could easily take it out with that. I mean,
just gonna say,
it's wide open. I mean, you could see Mega Gargants just romping it. I don't know.
We got 5. I mean, the odds are there, right? Highest attendance for the Megas. Been an age. They were the OGs, and then lockdown happened. It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah, who's going to win the low tier? So speaking of trophies, on the screen you can see these really nice trophies that we've got, and these are
literally polished right now to a yeah.
And these are the 3D prints we had designed. Russ Charles, who eventually couldn't make the event.
Shame he's not here. Yeah.
So we've got these best nomination coins. We've got the helmets. These are obviously going to be painted and mounted on plaques and all the rest of it. So
I've been very thorough. I found the shinier spray. It's really easy to use as well.
But yeah, we're really happy with how they've come out. And Byron's got the fun job of painting them. I'm really jealous. I really want to get my hands and have a look at these. I might
just
ask.
Deliver them. Hopefully they'll be perfect. Yeah.
Well, I might ask Lee just to print me one for my desk because I think it's cool.
I'm gonna get some and chop them up. I think they'd be brilliant terrain pieces.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. For people coming, we're going to have some special dice on sale and some other stuff, so you can get your leather dice cups and your dice. So we're going to have some merch for there, so if people want to. People have been prepping, so we've had some pictures. So I thought this was funny. I've got the cheat sheet from Kirioth of his Gargants because they're so converted. So people know what
it's a brilliant idea. Who's going to
idea.
You can't misunderstand anything at that point. No. It's just all there. It's all clear. It's literally in silhouette, black and white. Literally again.
It's great.
Perfect. Yeah. Wonderful.
I'm not going to give him a cease and desist for using my logo. It's fine. No, I'm kidding. So this is his work in progress. So they're not finished, obviously. Obviously, I'm really looking forward to seeing these finished. They're just mad, like as you'd expect.
And mental. I'm a bit worried about him. I'll have a chat, see if he's okay.
Yeah.
He's brought his nightmares to life for us on the table.
He did that last time as well. So I'm super stoked he come back for the second year. So obviously he came back last year, had a good time. Normally a big 40k player, big streamer. So I'm looking forward to see how he gets on. I love this one. It's probably because it's made up of the Ossiarch Bone Reaper terrain and the Nurgle Magaflord, which are two of my favourite kits. So
it's so good, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Just like...
I think he's probably net broke even on terrain plus 17 other kits versus price of Gargant as well, hasn't he?
Probably, because I thought about it. I thought these are expensive Gargants. I thought, well, Gargants are just expensive, so maybe
they are vanilla expensive, yeah.
Mutalith Vortex Beast with Stardrake wings and lots of fancy terrain. Love it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that done. I think this is Miles's Slaughter Priest. So looking pretty good. Getting ready for the event. I have to remember whose is whose now. This is bad, isn't it? Because it's in the
WhatsApp Chalmers chat. It's purple.
No, I know that one. Yeah, I've got this these KO boats out, and I'm trying to remember who's find it. Waiting for WhatsApp to load.
Chalmers had I think he had 70 models 5 days ago, and now he's down to 30. So he's been a good and productive boy.
Yeah,
he's absolutely smashed it out, and they're looking super effective as well.
Yeah, they are, and I'm really glad that he's coming as well. Actually, Matthew Sandford, is these his Ironclads and his Storm Drakes.
Interested to see how he's doing. Yeah,
which has got the big furnace on the back. You know, and it's like it's nice. It's cool. I like it. It's interesting.
Pieces to go.
Solid army. Ben Smith's Troll army looks great. Endless spells for days. He's got his Purple Sun Fanatic, which I love. And his pot of pine cones in the background. I don't know. That's obviously not part of the army, but you know, you can bring him along, that'd be fine. Chalmers's Cygors and Gorgons that he's painted. His piles of like half painted purple models. Matt Oswald doing his disease trackers. They're the Dark Fantastic Mills ones, I think. I don't know who this is. They're just B in the chat. So, yeah, I don't know if that's. I was trying to work out who this is, but I don't know who it is. But there's a really nice Blight King, really nice Blight King actually, coming along really nicely.
Yeah, it's like to see that army.
Really disturbing Lord of Afflictions, which kind of makes me a little bit scared. I'm ashamed that that's
maybe him and
disturbed.
Maybe him and
Kirioth can have a game in the corner. Or just put a curtain around the table or something. You know, like
that Blight King is awesome.
Yeah, the Blight King's really nice. I like the skin a lot. It's nice, the deep purple in the recesses.
That's
nice.
That's Brad's little disgusting thing, by the way.
Is this Brad?
Always Brad's. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Brad's solid use of gloss, horrific nightmare 3D printing, and solid conversion work. So it'll come out and it'll look great as an army as well. But yeah, it's very nice. If you meet him, you won't be worried about him in person. Yeah.
No, No, don't be worried about him. He's great. So this is Vampire Lord. I think he's painting as well, which is probably for the open, the paint competition, single miniature.
Oh, he's going to be bringing. He's got some proper painting chops on him these days. He's been secretly squirreling away in his basement, and he is getting real good.
Tim Pierce got some competition.
Well, we'll have to see on that. That's lofty heights to aspire to, but yeah, he's really, really good.
I love Matt's stuff, Matt Oswald, particularly because he always does amazing freehand banners.
Super solid, yeah.
I love
well.
this. Interesting conversions as well. I really like how he's changed the rider to, and I just like the helmets. I think that's from the Underworld's Warband. The eyeballs on the beast there. It's very good, like very, very good.
Boy, that's good.
This is like simple, but I love it. Gut Rot Spoon with his face mask up. I just think that's cool. That's really cool. And it's obviously he's put this massive tentacle on here. It's just such a nice use of simple conversion work, but a good use of colour. That lime green.
So he's got theme in mind, hasn't he? Like always at the back there, there's probably been an overarching idea before the execution. And he's painted his base rims black. He's a good boy.
always a winner. But I just love the.
Oh, I love his army so much.
I love his stuff. It's always very similar in colour palette, but that's no bad thing for me.
Mate, he's got a good palette. There's nothing wrong with it.
Very good. Yeah. This is a work in progress of Matt Clark's Zinch army. I love the fact he's got all the endless spells. You know, it's coming together. Needs more spawn.
Story that banner is a portrait of me when I saw the new Graveguard models from Liam T. I mean, fair. Yeah. Why not?
The new Graveguard, like the Underworld's Warband Graveguard are just amazing. Because I've been struggling. How do I convert my Graveguard? Now I'm just going to buy them, lots of them, and use them. Ben's endless spells. He's done some close-ups for us. This is Rashnax and Ravening Jaws. He's one of his shamans. It's a nice paint job. I like it. It's good. Particularly like the skin tone. Nice use of a little yellow skull on his chest, and yeah, it's really good. Is his Marsh Crawler Slog Off. Oh, Kyrios updated picture with some of his beasts in it. So these are more finished. So he's got all the goo, the blood, the basin done. Yeah, these are looking sweet. So obviously, I know there's probably still more work to be done on them, but yeah, fantastic. So
I've got a little bit of time, guys. Keep repping it in.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time between now and the event to get your art model upscaled. Then we've got these really nice Gossamid archers, which I haven't really seen much Sylvaneth like on the scene.
No, not
played
one
against
bit.
I know they were at Blackout.
You've seen a couple of solid people podiuming with them, but aside from that, I've not really clocked them whatsoever. Actually,
This is Pinno's Gossamids. So he says it's the only unit he had to do for the event, but they're really nice. I like the multicolored wings. Like I think that's, you can get away with that with Sylvaneth, can't you? So it's nice stuff. So in terms of the event coverage, we're not going to be doing super
live
live coverage or anything, but I'll take plenty of content and pictures, and obviously we'll do a wrap-up show after we come back. And
I can absolutely whisk around as much as is possible as well and give updates as well. I think people have enjoyed tuning into those before. We've had some really tight games and kind of very cool turn by turn pictures that show the tides changing, so we can absolutely do that as well.
I'll try and get some player interviews or something. Depends how much time I have between admin and stuff, if I get a camera set up and all that, and try and get the stuff together, so we can go for that. But yeah, I'm hoping that everyone enjoys the event, and we're gonna take a lot of pictures of the best armies and do some coverage and tweet stuff.
Always.
So yeah, that's it really. So hopefully everyone's excited about the weekend. Everything could go smoothly, and
super psyched for seeing people there. It's gonna be a hoot.
It should be a lot of fun. Normally is when we run FaceHammer. It's normally a good crowd, so really looking forward to it.
Atmosphere of the year,
yeah. So next year we will be running FACEHAMMER back in September again. So we'll announce people at the event will be able to get tickets for the next event, and we'll announce the dates afterwards. But it'll be in mid-September next year. So back to our normal slot. Yeah, but I think that's it really, unless you want to talk about anything else.
No, I think that's it. Really excited to see people there. If people haven't played on the pack and they get a chance to try it, whether they are attending or not, give it a go. Let us know your thoughts. We're really open to the feedback, and we are planning on this becoming a living document. So, we'll take it on board. We'll think about it. We'll play under it ourselves. See if it's something that needs applying. But yeah, we're really, really excited to see you there. Cannot wait for it.
Yeah, and I really hope people are bringing a lot of stuff for the painting competition in the evening. So I'm really excited to see what's coming. Yeah, I can link the pack, Liam. So give me a sec.
If anyone has stuff they're working on as well and they want painting feedback from either of us, just bring it down. It would be an absolute pleasure. You can pop it out whenever, and we'll sit down. We'll have a talk about it. If we get time, or I get time, then I can demonstrate some stuff or play through some stuff or have a chat about things. So yeah, it's always a pleasure to sit down with people and have a chat about hobby, and it's just so much easier in person.
Yeah, and looking forward to seeing everyone. And should be a lot of fun, a lot of drinks to be had, and a lot of games to be played. So yeah, just that's it really. So thanks for tuning in. Probably going to sign off shortly, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. We're going to have a Lumineth show premiering probably as the tournament's running. So the live will be run, but probably not going to be there. But we've got to try and squeeze that recording in this week. And it's not a small book, so
it's not. Tinch again, 2 techie armies back to back, but I think maybe Tinch had a better job.
Well,
player approachability.
I don't know. Like, I'd be interested to go through and see the nuances.
It's characters versus rules, I think, is the kind of debate that we've got going on between those two.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's it. And I'd say thanks for tuning in, guys, and hopefully we'll see you at the weekend. And let us know in the comments below if you've got any thoughts on the comp pack or the feedback. And if you're not going to the event and you just happened on this stream and you're wondering what's going on, you've got some comments, feel free to wade in. Hopefully you understand the reasoning for what we've done and can appreciate what we're trying to achieve. Questions. And if you, I do encourage you to give it a go, play a practice game, play down your club, whatever. Just let us know what you think. Just because we were interested, really. And I would quite like to, going forward, our events to be a little bit more unique and have this kind of format, depending on how it's received on the weekend. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Sweet.
All right. Well,
thank you very much, guys. Always a pleasure. Thank you for pitching in.
Yeah.
And we'll see you very, very shortly.
Yep. And we'll catch you in the next one. So cheers, guys. Have a good evening. See you later.
A bit. Bye.